there was a censure hearing and a censure vote against Al Green. More on that in a moment. Here's where it all started during the president's address to Congress. And Al Green, a Democrat from Texas, a member of the House, stands up with his cane and tries to disrupt President Trump.
Mr. Green, take your seat. Take your seat, sir. Take your seat. Finding that members continue to engage in willful and concerted disruption of proper decorum, the chair now directs the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order. Remove this gentleman from the chamber.
And with that, Al Green was indeed removed from the chamber, waving his cane, and I guess he felt like he accomplished something there. I don't know really what it was, but now that kind of behavior is not thought very highly of. I think it really helped the president. And at the White House, Carolyn Leavitt was and boy, she's good, isn't she? Boy, she's just the best. One of the best I've ever seen. But Caroline Leavitt said, this was disrespectful.
The behavior of Democrats last night was completely disgraceful and demonstrated how severely out of touch they are with the American public. It was the most shameful moment in the history of presidential addresses in that beautiful chamber. In what was supposed to be a unifying moment for our country, Democrat members of Congress instead screamed at the President of the United States, who was just overwhelmingly reelected by their constituents, walked out of the chamber, and worst of all, they disrespected the American people. Democrats didn't stand to keep men out of women's sports. They couldn't even clap for a girl who got her head smashed in by a man on a volleyball court. Democrats didn't stand for an innocent and beautiful child who is surviving brain cancer. They opposed eliminating taxes on tips and Social Security. They didn't stand in favor of cutting taxes for hardworking Americans. They couldn't even clap for two mothers whose daughters were killed by illegal aliens. One of the only things that could get Democrats off their feet last night was cheering for Ukraine, not for America. Last night was a very clarifying moment for our country. The Democrats exposed themselves as the party of insanity and hate, the party that wants to put America last. They've allowed their Trump derangement syndrome to stop them from celebrating America and our people, and we will not allow them to forget that.
Well, we're at the House of Representatives. It was looked at very seriously by the Speaker of the House and focused on Al Green, who refused to stand down until he was escorted from the chamber by the Sergeant-at-Arms. And so there was a vote in the House of Representatives today. Should he be censured? Should he be basically a slap on the wrist? It's a notation that goes in your permanent record. It's like when you're in high school and you got sent to the principal's office and a notation was put. He had to come in and have a conversation with the principal. It's that kind of thing. It's on your permanent record. And they decided that he needed to be censured, and here's how that vote went down today.
The resolution is adopted. Without objection, a motion to reconsider is laid on the table. The House will come to order. The House will come to order. Shh. Will Representative Green present himself to the well?
You see, what's supposed to happen now is he's supposed to come to the well and have this measure, this censure, all the language of the censure read in his presence. And that's sort of, you've been called to the well, right? Well, he did go to the well, and he stood there defiantly with other Democrats, and they did not accept it.
By its adoption of House Resolution 189, the House has resolved that Representative Al Green be censured, that Representative Al Green forthwith present himself in the well of the House of Representatives for the pronouncement of censure, and that Representative Al Green be censured with public reading of this resolution by the Speaker.
And the Democrats surrounded him in the well and turned to that old 1960s chestnut, "We shall overcome."
The House has come to order. The House has come to order.
But they're not.
What's that?
You want to let them keep doing this, or it's on the carry?
The the House to come to order. Clear the well, please. Clear the well.
They
The
wouldn't
House has to
budge.
continue its business.
So at that moment, I think the Speaker decided that discretion was the better part of valor.
Just say the House is. Pursuant to Clause 12A of Rule 1, the House will stand in recess, subject to the call of the chair.
And with that, they closed down the House and took all their steam out of the Democrats. I don't know that he ever actually had the proclamation read to him, but he knows what it's all about. They can send him a note if they want to. And a few moments later, the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, was talking to Fox News about what had transpired a few moments before on the floor house.
This is a really sad day for our institution. What Representative Al Green did in the midst of the president's speech as our honored guest to the chamber was disrupted. He did it intentionally, as everyone saw. I gave him plenty of warnings, and he refused it. It was a deliberate action. It needed to be met with swift punishment. That's the tradition of this place, to maintain decorum. And so that's what we just did. The resolution passed on the House floor. There were 224 votes in favor of censuring him for that behavior. 198 Democrats voted against it. I can't believe that. 2 votes present. So I think we had 9 Democrats join us in this bipartisan measure that we took. And it was critically important, Bill, because we have to maintain the dignity of this place. We're the greatest deliberative body in the history of the world. There's a deep and rich tradition here, and it is violated. To our understanding and our review of history, that was the first time that any member of Congress has ever had to be removed in the middle of a presidential address, and it's shameful. They're embarrassed by what happened. Many of their colleagues, as you know, were holding up signs on the floor and trying to disrupt in other ways. But the leadership, Hakeem Jeffries, to his credit, he's the lead on the Democrat side in the House, he admonished his colleagues before the event and asked them to maintain decorum. We have to do that as leaders, and every member should be committed to that as well. It brings shame on the institution. It brought shame on them as individuals and on their party. And it's just disgusting to me. I mean, really, I take no pleasure in this. I want us to have dignity and decorum in this institution because it sends a message around the world, and it is, these are the duly elected representatives of the people. They should be models of integrity and character. They don't have an identified leader. They don't have a vision. They don't have a platform they can run on. And so the only word I can describe it is they're flailing right now. So that's why they resort to these antics. They want to fight Trump. They want to fight the America First agenda. They want to fight all of us. And so they debase themselves by showing up on the House floor and acting like children. It's sad. This is an unfortunate day, and I wish we hadn't had to go down this road.
Well, the Speaker is completely correct. They are embarrassing themselves, and you know what? It didn't set well with the American people. And what they did today did not sit well with the American people. I mean, we know this because there have been polls done. Hey, what did you think about the president's speech? I don't know, somewhere between 70 and 75% of Americans seem to like what the president had to say. You know, he's winning, and the Democrats are losing, and the Speaker's right. They're flailing. They're flailing around. You know, if the best you can come up with is to hold hands and sing "We Shall Overcome," then that's pretty weak sauce. And they just go back to the same old playbook, Donald Trump is in there getting something done every day. Today, for example, he may announce the dissolution, the disbandment of this Department of Education. That's huge. You see, Democrats the way this is working since Trump took office is he just hits them with like 5 things every day. And while the Democrats, it takes them a day to figure out, well, here's what he did today, and tomorrow we'll have a message and we'll be against that. But by the time they get out there and they're against the thing that Trump did yesterday, he's on to 5 new things. It's just not working for them on any level. 75%, according to some of the stories I'm seeing here today, 75% of those who watched the address had a very favorable opinion of what Donald Trump had to say. They like that he's doing what he promised he was going to do. They like that he's closing the border. They like the fact that he's cutting government fraud, waste, and abuse, which we all know is there, and the Democrats are ridiculous to insist that this is not a proper thing to do. It's absolutely a proper thing to do. To fine a wasteful use of taxpayer dollars ought to be one of the highest responsibilities of government, to make sure that when we send them money, it is spent well. And, and people love that. But they're not at all finding favor with the positions that the Democrats are taking. The Democrats are taking these positions that have 20% support in America, and they're just glomming on to those issues. Same talking points, same tactics, same old stuff. And the American people have realized they are done with that. They are so done with what the Democrats were up to. And a great number of people, somewhere between 70, 75, 80% of people in America, like the fact that the borders are being, brought under control. They like the fact that we're getting rid of things like the Department of Education. They like the fact that Trump is trying to end the wars around the world. They like the fact that Trump is out there, making sure that we don't have waste, fraud, and abuse, and if we do, we root it out. How in the world can you be an elected official and be in favor of waste, fraud, and abuse, yet the Democrats are fighting at every step of the way? They seem to have lost the American people, and the American people are finding a lot more favor with Donald Trump and his side of the equation than they are the Democrats and their side of the equation. Listen to this. This tells you a little something. There was about, let's go, 10, 13, 14, 24, 25, maybe 27 million people total, somewhere in that neighborhood, watched the event live. Somewhere in there. 10.7, half of them, watched it on Fox News. ABC came in second, 6.3 million. CBS, 4 million. MSNBC, 3.9 million. CNN, and MSNBC each had about 1.9 million. The people you would think would be watching CNN and MSNBC weren't watching. They didn't care. So the president basically got on a national platform, primetime address to Congress, and just won so handsomely. And the Democrats just looked weak and old-fashioned and obstructionist. There's nothing about what they did in that House chamber the other night that was positive for them, except for about 20% of Americans. They're glomming on to 20% issues, while Republicans are getting out there and doing the things that the American people say they want. After all, President Trump was elected, and he has a mandate. The Democrats don't even want to acknowledge that there was a mandate. But when you win all 7 of the swing states and you pull in 312 electoral college votes, then, you are a lot more in sync with the American people than the other side is. So it's really quite amazing. I look at this thing that happened and I go, what were the Democrats thinking? But the fact of the matter is, they're not thinking. They're reacting emotionally, and they're falling back on their old talking points. And the American people see that for what it is, absolutely.